you are. Here now, it's Tuesday morning at 8:30. And I'm just going to do a couple of things here real quick to make sure my Twitter links are going, and then we'll get started. Let's see what I get. What do y'all think of my new profile pic here? No, it's not there yet. Let me see here. Pretty cool, huh? Makes me look really cool. I think it makes me look cool. All right, let me update this, and then we'll get started. In the age of AI, how can we even tell what is real? All right. Pretty good. All right. I hope your day's going pretty well. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to just go ahead and get started, and we'll just we'll go from there. So the first thing you want to do is just take a deep breath, because every day there's lots of things going on. When you take a deep breath and let all of the tension build up just for a second and then let it all go, it releases more than you thought you had already before. So ready? Deep breath in. Hold it. And now just let everything go. And it just kind of helps you recenter. And then all those things where your mind has been, all those places where you've been thinking and all your thoughts all over the place, just bring them all in here, so you can focus in. Now, today I want to talk about AI and what is real and what is not real. And the reason I want to talk about this today is for two reasons. There's, first of all, because of all the stuff going on in Iran, there's all of these videos coming out of this and that happening, and some of them don't seem to be real, and some of them seem to be real, and we can't really tell. And the second thing is because I had a client recently, and this client, his son was having some trouble with in school, and when the root of the issue was he didn't have a good way to understand what's real and what's not. And so I'll talk about both of those. And then while I'm doing this, because remember, I am a hypnotist, so while I'm doing this, I'm going to be rewiring certain things under the hood in real time. So you're going to adjust things on the inside, and that's going to be really good for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is the AI video issue, right? Because there's been when the Iran thing started about 2 weeks ago, the first thing we saw was all these missile strikes. And it's like, okay, but then just like every other international conflict that's been going on in my life, we see all these videos. And then I saw a thing where somebody posted one, and then he said, "This is missiles striking somewhere." And then below that, he wrote, "I made this using AI. Don't believe what you see in videos anymore." And we all knew this day was coming. We all knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Someday we wouldn't be able to tell what was real and what's not in terms of video. And the only thing you'll be able to tell is real is face to face, like legit, you are standing in front of me face to face type stuff. We knew that day was coming. And I think it may be here. It may be here. Another thing I saw was that there's all these posts saying Netanyahu's dead, and it's been going on for about a week. And the longer it goes on, the more I'm inclined to think that he actually might be dead. Netanyahu is the prime minister of Israel. He's been orchestrating all this, a lot of this stuff. And the reason that people started getting suspicious is because he disappeared, radio silence for a couple days. Somebody tracked his plane, which had changed its typical path. He they what was they had they posted some videos. Some form of the Israeli government posted some videos of Netanyahu, and people were saying, "Now wait a minute," because it was like in a coffee shop or something, and he in the screen of the barista was there, and somebody zoomed in and found that it was the year was 2024 on the screen. And so now people are saying that Netanyahu's dead, that he got hit by an Iranian missile strike somewhere, and they've been hiding it for a week. So that's fascinating to me. That's just fascinating to me, because if you're going to be able to hide something like the death of your prime minister of a country currently involved in a geopolitical conflict, oh my goodness. Now, they didn't get away with it this time. I mean, again, assuming it's true, and I do assume it's true. The only other possibility is that he's hiding out somewhere for some reason or another. There could be another explanation, but they didn't get away with it this time. But how long until they can get away with it? I've never met the guy. I've never been in the same room with him. I don't know if he even really exists. Does he exist? I don't know. Do you exist? I don't know. Now, the ancients, I think it was the ancient Greeks, ancient philosophers did a lot of this stuff. They would say things like, I know that I exist because I'm me. I don't know if you exist. You could be my hallucination. All of you, everything could be my hallucination. I don't know what exists. And we're just circling back to that, except with technology. The hallucinations are a more intense and vivid form, maybe, but because they are created using electricity-based technology. But is that really that much different? I mean, I read news about something going on the other side of the world. I have no idea if it's true or not. How am I going to know if it's true or not? I mean, what do we really know is real and true? When you think about it, that is a small, small amount of stuff. Think about how much you're taking other people's word for. Have you done those chemistry experiments and physics experiments to know what atoms are? I haven't. I mean, there is a huge history of hundreds, if not thousands of years of people doing things and other people building on that knowledge, assuming that it's true. But I haven't done it all. I don't know if it's true. What do we really know is true? And then in the last few years, we've just learned that so many things that we were told were true really aren't true. Everything, like huge numbers of health-related stuff, is complete lies. Complete fabrication. I'm looking back at some of these history things and thinking, well, I wonder, is that really true? I don't know. And this is becoming a real problem with the Zoomers and the alphas. Like I said before, I had a client whose son was having some real difficulty with some social things at school. And I said, okay, what's the problem? He said, well, I want to know what people think of me. I said, okay, well, what does that get you? And he thought about it, and he said, well, I just want them to know the real me. And I said, okay, who do you want to know the real you? And he said, everybody. And I said, okay, that's a lot of people. How are you going to get, how many people do you know? 200? Hi, Chad. Good to see you. Yeah, I think they've been getting better. The videos, that is. 100, 200 people, that's a lot of people. How are you going to get all of them to know the real you? That's like a lifetime achievement. It's a lifetime achievement to get 2 or 3 people to know the real you. And as I started talking about this, the guy sort of was like, I could see his brain just kind of cracking as he realized that was just not possible. You can't get everybody to know the real you. And I said, well, what about all the other 200 people that you know? Aren't they trying to get everybody else to know the real them? How much time do they have to spend to get to know the real you? And again, I could see his brain just rewiring in real time, thinking, oh my gosh, no one's ever going to be able to do this. That's not a thing. You're not going to ever achieve that. And I started talking to him to more stuff. And he's like, well, I'm not really good at anything. And I said, okay, well, how are you going to know when you're good at something? And he said, well, people will tell me. I said, okay, well, how would you know if people didn't tell you? He said, well, I'd win awards or I'd win, this or that. I said, okay, so that's also people telling you. I said, how would you know if you're good at this or that or the other thing if someone didn't tell you? They said, well, maybe, and he didn't have an answer. He did not have a way to know what was real unless somebody else asked, if somebody else told him. I said, okay, well, if you're going to rely on other people for these type of opinions, then how are you? I mean, is that a reliable source? Because how many of these people are also relying on other people for their opinions? Here's a really interesting thing that I've noticed. I've talked to a lot of people of all ages. And if you talk to older boomers or even some of the silent generation, there's not many of them left, but you start talking about some stuff to them and you say something that they don't, that they don't think is true, they'll go, I don't give a damn what you think. I know what I know. And you're kind of like, okay then. And then boomers will hem and haw a little bit. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I can't see that from my front porch. And then the younger boomers and are a little more, well, let's see what people think. And the Xers don't care what anybody thinks because we were all sort of like left alone to our own devices all day anyway. So we Gen Xers are a little bit of an anomaly, but then millennials are like, well, what do I think? I don't know. What does everybody think? Right? Zoomers don't even check what they themselves think. Zoomers and alphas they have no idea. They have no idea how to determine anything is real or true or not. It's all, what do you all think? What's on TikTok? What's on social media? What's the consensus opinion? Because I'm going to take external opinions over my internal opinions. And they have no idea how to know what is real or what is not real. Now, that's a real big problem. So I had to talk to this guy and I said, okay, well, how do you know what time it is? Well, I check my phone. Okay, well, if you didn't have a phone, how would you know what time it is? And he eventually settled on, well, I'd go outside and look where the sun is. Okay, now we're getting into something at least somewhat objective. The position of the sun is a very, very consistent thing in terms of time, right? If it's dark, I know that it's, if the sun's not out and everything's dark, I know that it's almost certainly nighttime. And so we started with like some very objective things like that. Okay, how do you know where you are? Well, I look around and I see where I am. Okay, how do you know where that is? Okay, well, I know that it's this far from that thing, that I know where else it is. It's like in reference to another location. So this person was starting to build a physical geographical map of where things are that he knew where they were. Okay. And I said, okay, well, can you walk to your school? He's like, no. Okay, do you know where your school is? And he thought about it. He's like, no. I mean, he could look it up on the phone, right? The map on the Google Maps or whatever. We took that away and I said, well, how are you going to know? How do you know where it is? Because he just gets in the car or gets on the bus and then something happens and then he gets out of the car or off the bus at the school. He didn't know where it was. Now that's weird. Okay. So I had him do something where he would trace the path that he took from his house to school, just to know that there is, in fact, a path, a real place, a real world that he's there and he moves around in and has an objective way to determine that. Right? How do you know what this person, and then we move from there. How do you know what this person thinks of you? And the short answer is it's really, really hard. Now, me doing what I do, I can do it. If you put somebody in front of me on a video or in real life, I know what they're thinking because that's my job. That's my career. Most of the time, people can't do that. Very, very few people can do that. Now, some people can do it some of the time. You can kind of detect what someone's mood is or things like that. But even then, it's unless you really know what you're doing, you can be mistaken a lot of the time. And so, how do you respond to that? How do you go through life not really knowing? You have to be comfortable with not knowing. You have to be comfortable with could be this, could be that. Okay, let's see what happens, right? Actions over words, things like that. And when you begin to adopt that frame, at least somewhat, I mean, you can pay attention to other people's opinion because or reactions because you are in the same world, we think, as other people. So it can be helpful to understand that if you can use it properly. But is it really that important? Not really. So when you adopt that understanding of okay, what do I actually really know? And what do I not know? And what do I want to know but I don't? And what are the possible options that could be? And do I even care? That's the big thing. Do I even care? So much of this stuff, you don't even really care. It's not going to affect your life meaningfully in any real way because the accuracy is low in general. And so many things just neutralize themselves out over time. And this might be kind of a weird thing to say. And it may feel weird when you think about it this way because you're like, oh, I've just been, doing what have I been doing all my life? Not really knowing what's really happening. I got news for you. Me and all the philosophers throughout history, we don't really know the things that we think we know. And then some of the things we don't think we know, we do know. And when we really do rigorously check, what is it that I actually know? And what actually matters? It makes a difference in your life because so many things just let go and you become much more effective at handling what's actually happening. So, if you notice, too many people are walking around, their entire worldview is built off of what other people have told them, things that they're taking other people's word for. They have this entire world, entire reality built off of what they've read, heard, watched. But what have they actually seen, heard, felt, smelled, tasted in three-dimensional, actual external sensory components? I mean, we're just shadows in the cave all over again, just instead of shadows in the cave, it's images on a screen. So you can use this information to begin to develop a much more accurate and effective way to understand reality, understand what's really happening. And that doesn't mean you ignore the rest. You can understand that it exists. I mean, you can understand that these presentations do exist, but they may or may not be real. And you can use that to your advantage. And I'll talk about that, I think Thursday, because I think Wednesdays are now going to be the infinite love of the universe simulation programming stuff. People seem to like that a lot. So if you found today's stream interesting or helpful, feel free to share it with others. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at 8:30.